if you were in a catastrophic accident, what would it be like? John Prosser is here. It's a grim topic, but something that happens and touches people every day. I would dare say that sometimes the biggest risk that you take any day is getting behind the wheel of a car.
Well, that's absolutely correct, Michael. And people don't realize that this insurance is so important, because what insurance is risk management. How do you manage risk? When you buy a house, you have to have your mortgage insured. When you're driving in an automobile, consider a mother with 3 children who drives her children to school every day and activities. You can't find a better value proposition than our catastrophic coverage in Michigan. And in contrast, every other state in America, Harvard did the study. Bankruptcy, the #1 reason for bankruptcy in America is medical bills. Certainly catastrophic injuries are at the top of that experience. And then there's a cost shift to Medicaid, and Medicaid simply does not provide the depth of resource that Michigan does, which is entirely necessary if you're catastrophically injured.
Michael Harris, sitting right next to you across the table from me on Fox 47 and radio stations all across Michigan, the Executive Director of Paralyzed Veterans of Michigan. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Would you tell us your story?
My injury happened in 1986. I was a backseat passenger in an automobile accident in South Lyons. I was medevaced by helicopter to U of M, where I was in rehab for 4 months. It was interesting. I was looking at my bill a few months ago and found out back in for 4 months of care back then was $84,000. So I had that sent to U of M, just trying to get compared to today's dollars, and they told me it would be in today's world I would have paid some $100,000 for that. And so I'm very fortunate that I had no fault. I didn't even realize I had this coverage, believe it or not. Most people don't realize what no fault benefit is all about until they need it. And looking back at it, if I had had the option of $50,000 coverage, where I know I would have saved money, I would have taken that. And if I had, it would have been the worst decision I've ever made in my life. I'm very fortunate that we have this program. It's given me the ability, really, when you think about it, it took me at a low point in my life, and it made me whole again. It allowed me to go back to school, and eventually become the executive director of an organization where, instead of being on public assistance, where most people in other states are on, that are paralyzed veterans, I'm a taxpayer.
What do you remember? How did the accident happen?
As I indicated, the car flipped over, backseat passenger. He was weaving, going a little too fast, and a road that had a lot of curves on it. We were in a Ford Tempo, so the car got caught in the gravel out in the country, and when he tried to bring it back on the road, it just flipped on us. I was instantly paralyzed, not realizing that that's really what I had, a spinal cord injury. It was like I was told within 2 hours of being rushed to the emergency room that I would never walk again. And it's not only the ability to walk that goes with the spinal cord injury, but the loss of bladder and bowel control, and you have no feeling below the level of the injury. So there's many other characteristics associated with the injury.
This was a single car accident?
It was a single car accident. So there's various, it's crazy the different ways that someone can become spinal cord injured. And mine, looking back at it, I had no cuts or bruises or anything like that. I just had a fractured vertebrae.
It's the most naive thing to say, well, that won't happen to me. That's somebody else.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Otherwise, we might never get behind the wheel.
Right. I always tell people your next step might be your last step, and disability doesn't discriminate, as I found out. I was 29 when my injury happened, so I've lived on both sides of the fence, and I see the world from both perspectives. And I thought when I was injured in '86, I'd be in a nursing home for the rest of my life. That's just the view I had of my circumstances, and because of the Michigan no fault, I was able to live my life with quality associated with it.
John Prosser, 50 seconds.
Well, we need to preserve, protect, and strengthen our auto no fault. That's the message of the Coalition Protecting Auto No Fault. Michael Harris, the Executive Director of the Paralyzed Veterans, a lot of people don't realize that probably 50% of the paralyzed veterans in Michigan are the result of an auto accident.
Right.
Our legislature devised this model 40 years ago with the priority in mind of what do citizens need if they're catastrophically injured. If these changes were to happen, we're going to have such collateral damage, unintended consequences from this terrible collateral damage, including brain injured people going to prison instead of being given rehabilitation. As a society, we need to ask ourselves, what is our priority? And where insurance companies come along and propose to make drastic changes, we need to demand transparency, accountability, and honesty in terms of their calculations. The citizens have that right. It's been decided under Shavers versus Kelly. Judge Kennedy reaffirmed that, and we're hopeful that the legislature will require all evidence before they make a decision.
Thank you very much to both of you, and Mr. Harris, thank you.